All right, well, welcome everyone to today's Process Optimization Academy session. Today, we're going to be focusing on root cause analysis, which is one of the ML-powered capabilities baked into the solution to help us identify improvement opportunities in the data we mine with process optimization. I think this might be one of the shortest Process Optimization Academy sessions that we have because there's not a lot to the configuration. It's more about understanding what the results are telling us and being able just to read them and get a sense of what it's actually telling us. Quick reminder that we've moved these Academy sessions to once a month in 2023, but we've been releasing some additional content on the community, specifically the Process Optimization Use Case series. So we recently added an SLA breach analysis example to that series, which was a common ask from a lot of customers. All right, let's get the logistics out of the way. Purpose of these sessions are to help us all get better educated on ServiceNow's in-platform process mining capabilities. We'll provide how-tos, practical guidance and use cases, product updates, and just as a group, exchange ideas and collaborate so we can all continue to get better. How the sessions work, if you haven't been here before, we've got a scheduled topic that we usually cover for the first 30 minutes. I expect today to be a bit quicker, as I mentioned. Then we'll open it up for questions on the chosen topic for the session. Then we'll open it up for questions above and beyond the day's topic, sort of like an office hours. These sessions are recorded and eventually posted on the community. So I think this will be either 14 or 15. There's tons of content out there if you've just stumbled upon us for the first time. Finally, feel free to post your questions in the Q&A section. Do our best to answer them, but for situations where we don't have an answer for your question immediately, we usually follow up and post them to the process optimization community product hub page, or like this topic here, we use them for a future session. This is the slide that says anything we say and do here today can't be held against me in the court of law. It's also the slide that says, hey, as part of these conversations, if we happen to make any forward-looking statements about what might be coming in future releases, you should take them as such and make no decisions based on them whatsoever, because they're always subject to change, and I'm assuming you've now read the fine print. For those that I've not met before, my name is Dan Grady. I'm part of the product team for process optimization. I've been with ServiceNow for about 7 years, and if we've not met before, I look forward to having more in-depth conversations with you about this topic or pretty much anything that has to do with ServiceNow and in-platform analytics reporting and process mining. From an agenda perspective, what we'll cover today, we'll do that quick process mining 101 for the newcomers. Then we'll dive into root cause analysis. We'll talk a little bit about how to read the output of root cause analysis. We'll talk a little bit about the 3 different places where you can run RCA from within the analyst workbench. Then we'll talk a little bit about how you adjust the configurations if you need to. And then there's a couple of properties and settings that are part of the solution that help you kind of control what gets displayed or how much gets displayed in the root cause analysis results. Not a lot to demo, but we'll just jump into the instance and show those things live, those different places that we'll cover in the slides earlier, show you where you get to the properties and show you where you get to the configuration screen. We'll get to your questions. We'll talk a little bit about the Knowledge 23 sessions. For those of you that are heading to Knowledge, there's at least 6 sessions, I think, that I'm aware of that have process optimization embedded in them. We'll just give you those titles if you're interested in registering because the registration is live. Then we'll wrap up with how to get started with process optimization if you like what you heard here today and some additional resources beyond these sessions. All right. Quick process mining 101, as we always do for our newcomers. With everything we do, there's a design and desired path in our minds for how it should work and how things should play out, whether that be planning an event like these Academy sessions or a workflow or a business process. And when we design things, we design for both efficiency as well as completeness to provide the best experience possible for as many people as possible. Now, unfortunately, what we design isn't always what ends up happening in reality. The reality is that not all work flowing through a given process is going to take the optimal path, and that's going to have a negative impact on the experience both people requesting a service have, as well as those people who are working the process behind the scenes. Now, unfortunately, identifying what is actually happening within a workflow and then improving them isn't always the easiest thing to do. What in-platform process mining or process optimization allows us to do is use the audit log data that is generated as records move through a given workflow to create a visual representation of what's actually happening within a given process on the ServiceNow platform. And this new level of visibility helps us accelerate our ability to identify inefficiencies, non-conformant activities, and ultimately improvement opportunities. So process mining gives us the ability to answer process questions that really, for a lot of us, have been pretty challenging to answer for a long time. So where our more traditional approaches to analytics will help us answer a lot of the what questions about a process, like, hey, how many tickets did we work? What types of tickets were they? Process mining helps us answer all the why questions behind some of those things. So like, where is the process stuck? Where is unnecessary rework happening? Where are tickets bouncing back and forth between groups? Where aren't we conforming to the process that we designed up front, our desired vision? All of these things, historically, like I mentioned, difficult to answer and act upon, and now we've got them available to us in a couple of clicks with process optimization. We like to say process optimization is going to get you to the why behind all of your KPIs. And doing so, it's going to empower everyone involved in the process to make more data-driven decisions about which improvements to prioritize and which ones to act upon. All right, let's dig into the topic of the day, root cause analysis. Now, for those of you that have used process optimization, you know that once you configure and mine your project, you're presented with a number of different improvement opportunities right there on that summary and insights page. And those are based on the context, the content packs that we provide out of the box. But for most, that's just the start of their journey with process optimization, right? Most of you have heard me say this before. Information is one of the most addictive things out there. You give somebody a little bit and they always want more. With every answer that the solution provides, there's likely another question you're gonna want to ask about it. Just like I always like when you think back when we were kids, right? Most of us had this uncontrollable urge to keep asking our parents and teachers the but why question until they just gave up and said, because I said so. Well, root cause analysis is one of the ways process optimization helps enable that but why conversation with our process data. Root cause analysis, what it's ultimately going to do is help us find hidden connections and influencing factors in our process data and then allow us to just isolate certain scenarios. Now, while kicking off root cause analysis for a certain set of information is relatively easy, you're just going to click a button. The first time you see a result, it may not be very straightforward. And that's kind of why I put this session together. It's less about running root cause analysis and more about interpreting or understanding what it's telling us. So I thought I'd take a minute to walk through the different sections of the root cause analysis card. So first things first, we've got the condition or the criteria that we're focused on getting a better understanding of. In this case, it's our incidents that took longer than 12 hours to move between the work in progress state and the resolve state. Then what we have is we have the total number of records that were mined in this model. In this case here, we mined 22,500 incidents. Next, we see of those 22,500 incidents, 8,400 met the condition, meaning that 8,400 of these incidents took longer than 12 hours between those two states. The next thing that we're going to see is that of those 22,500 incidents, 3,767 were initially assigned to the assignment group IT support desk level 1. Right? That's the total number of records that were initially assigned to that support desk level 1. Of those 3,767, 1,978 were initially assigned to that group that were initially assigned to that group met the condition, right? So those are the ones that took longer than 12 hours to go from work in progress to resolved. And that equals 53% of those tickets. Then the last data point is the likelihood that new incidents assigned to this group will meet this condition. So in this case, incidents that are initially assigned to this IT support service desk group are 2.21 times more likely to take more than 12 hours than incidents that are assigned to any other group in the data that we mined. There's a lot there, and yes, maybe service desk level 1 isn't the best example, but that's what I had in my demo data for this. So those are the different sections of this, the root cause analysis response, right? There's a lot of data there, but I wanted to lay out kind of each piece of data inside of here and explain what each piece means to us. So if we now take this and we were to put that into like a chat GPT like response, everybody wants to talk Gen I these days. If we wanted to put that into like a chat GPT like response, it might read like, 1,978 of the incidents that were initially assigned to the IT support service desk level 1 group took longer than 12 hours to move from a state of work in progress to resolved. That's 53% of the total number of incidents that were assigned to that group mined as part of this project. Incidents that are initially assigned to this group are 2.21 times more likely than any other group to take longer than 12 hours to move from work in progress to a resolved state. Now, one of the interesting things or aspects of this analysis I like to just remind everyone is that word initially. Right? This makes it different than what you'd be able to get from reporting, right? Reporting is only going to look at the final value on a record, where this is looking at the first time the value set on a given record. So it's a different way to look at the data than most of us are typically used to looking at, right? We're used to only seeing with reporting the last, in this case, assignment group. This allows us to get a feel for, hey, where things started when they embarked on their journey or embarked on the process. All right, now that we understand the results or what the results of the analysis are telling us, we can talk a little bit about where we access root cause analysis within process optimization. There's a few different places. First is on the improvement opportunities, where some of you might know them as finding definitions that get surfaced on the summary and insights page. Second is you can get to them from transitions and nodes on the process map itself inside of the analyst workbench. And then finally, from the variation analysis menu for a given route in the analyst workbench, there's also an option to run root cause analysis. So those are the different ways in which you would set that initial condition that we want to focus on. And we'll look at each of these live in the instance so you can just get a better feel of what we're talking about here if you've not played around too much with process optimization. So from a configuration standpoint, there isn't much that needs to be done, especially if you've activated the process optimization content packs that are available via the store for each of the given workflows that we offer process optimization to. Just a reminder, that's ITSM, customer service management, or any of the industry solutions, HR, case and lifecycle event. Create a workflow, so you built your own. Actually, we don't have a content pack for that, but you can apply process optimization to any of your custom applications. And then as of Utah, we've added field service management to our portfolio of supported process optimization workflows. And there's content packs for that as well. So each table that you mine should have an associated process configuration record with it. Again, that's going to come with the content pack, or if you're choosing not to use the content pack, you create your own process configuration record. And on that process configuration record, you'll have a tab for automated root cause analysis. This is where you're configured the fields you want to include in the analysis. Now, if you've made a bunch of configurations, or I should say customizations to your table that you want to mine, or you have your own custom fields that you've created as part of a process, you're going to want to go in and just check out this config to ensure that the proper fields are included. If you're using process optimization for App Engine on a custom application you built, you'll want to come in here and create this process configuration for the table or process that you want to mine. And just so I know people always ask or tend to ask what roles you need. People with the process optimization admin or power user role can adjust these records. Now, in addition to the process configuration for a given table, there's a handful of properties just help control what gets displayed in the results. So you can set the max number of leading influencers, and by default, that's going to be 20. So in that pop-up modal that comes in, this just tells you how many records or how many results you're going to show inside of that. You can control the minimum percentage of records needed to show a result, and also the minimum required odds. And remember, that's the one that's the likelihood information in the result. So if you think back to our earlier example, the incidents that are initially assigned to the service desk are 2.2 times or 2.21, I think, times more likely to exceed 12 hours between work in progress and resolved. So that's that last one there, the odds ratio. One note on these settings is that if you change them, you won't see the impact until you rerun the project. So it's kind of, you can come in here and change them and save them, but if you go back to a project that you've already mined and you said, hey, I only want to see the top 5 leading influencers, and you're still seeing 20, because you got to remind the project. All right, let's just jump on over into the instance. And again, not going to be all that much that we need to demo here. Just want to show you the different places where you can access it and where those configuration records live. So I'm inside of a project that we mined here. I'm going to go down to the first place that we typically would see the opportunity to get to root cause analysis, and that's on these finding definitions or improvement opportunities. And you see for each of these cards, like records that take longer than 7 days to go from resolved to closed, or those incidents that took more than 12 hours between work in progress and resolved. You have both the opportunity to run cluster analysis for those records, as well as root cause analysis. So in this case here, let's take those 8,400 incidents, and now I can take a look at root cause analysis. And here's that example that we talked about earlier. There's the total number of records we mined, are 21,500. The ones that met this criteria, 8,400, went into that state of awaiting caller info. And then for this assignment group, hey, of these 21,500, 2,345 of them were initially classified as IT support EMEA. And then 1,366 of them actually went into awaiting caller info, which was 58% of them. And then things that are going to awaiting caller info with this assignment group is 2.1 times more likely to go into awaiting caller info than any of the other assignment groups that we've mined in this data or that came back in this running of this project. And then right from here, we can just focus in on these IT support EMEA cases. Now, one of the things that's important to note about this is when we run down and we go and we click on that filtering, it might not do what you're expecting it to do. That filtering criteria works just like the breakdown filtering or the condition filtering here. It only is going to filter and show us records in their current state. So, or the value in the current state of the record. So in this case, the last assignment group on that record is IT support EMEA. So it's a little bit confusing because the root cause analysis is showing you the records in which the initial assignment group in this case was IT support EMEA, but when we run the filter, it's showing you the last value. It's just the way that the filtering works inside of the solution. We're talking about adjusting that and trying to make a decision on what the best way to do it is. But just wanted to call that out. You're like, wait a minute, I saw that it was this amount in there, and now it looks like a different amount here. That's because we're running it and we're filtering based on the current value in the record. So that's one place in which we can get to root cause analysis. The next place that we can get to root cause analysis would be, let's say, on any sort of node or transition. So we could come in here and let's say I want to look at things that are going from in progress, or let's say resolved, back to in progress. Right from here, we could come in and say, you know what, I want to look at root cause analysis for things going from resolved to in progress. So you can run root cause analysis on a transition, or if we were just on a node itself, you can run root cause analysis and get that information right from here as well. And then the last place that you can access root cause analysis or run that type of analysis is from variation analysis. So if we came down here and let's say, I'm just going to clear all my filters. Let's say I'm interested in these 1,100 records that took 6 steps. Here's the 6 steps. And from this variance option, you have this ability to get to that root cause analysis as well. So 3 different ways to access that root cause analysis or run that root cause analysis. And just for those that are new to process optimization, you'll notice that mine says view here. In certain places, you're going to have a run option, like we'll come back here. Let's clear filters. Let's just find one where I have the run option. That's a view. Whoops. Here, when I have run, if I were to click this, what's going to happen is it's going to schedule that job to be run. If you'll get a little pop that says, hey, this task is waiting to be mined. while you're waiting, or if you're going to pick up that task to be mined, you can always come over here. You'll see the little in progress piece, and then you can view the results of that once it's done. And then the next time you come back, you can just hit the view right from the map itself. So those are the 3 places to get to root cause analysis. Let's change gears a little bit. Let's take a look at that process configuration record. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my left-hand nav. We'll go to process configuration. And this is simply where you're going to set the values that you want to see. So you'll notice on this incident, I've just activated the ITSM content pack for process optimization. I've got 4 process configurations. Again, you can create your own above and beyond what we give you out of the box, but we give you some with those content packs. If I look at the incident one, you'll notice this process configuration record. We haven't spent a lot of time on these in the different academy sessions, but this is really the meat of where everything gets configured, right? Listen, you got your finding definitions here. If you want to make any changes to the automation discovery configuration for this table, you can do that here. The same with cluster analysis. It's kind of how you set everything up. Kind of a lot of the magic behind the scenes of what you're getting from the workbench itself is set up here. From a root cause analysis perspective, the only thing that you really need to do is come in here and set the fields that you want to use as part of the analysis. I've set it up to just look at category, assignment group, CI, on hold reason, open by, and resolution code, because that's what my demo data supports, but you can put other values in there as well. The only thing you need to do from a configuration perspective to get the output that you were seeing on the screens earlier. And that's in the process configuration record is where you would go. Last thing to call out here in the instance is let's just go to our process optimization properties. Down here, I've got my properties, and this is where you're going to find those root cause analysis thresholds that I called out in the slide. Your number of top leading influencers, your minimum percentage of records that need to show the leading influencers, and then the odds ratio, so the 2.21 more likely number. What is the minimum value that you want there? That's it. That's all you really need to know about root cause analysis in terms of where you would configure things, what are the properties, and then how you would access it. With that, I'll pause and open it up. Anybody have any questions about what we just covered there? If you're on mute, maybe put it in the chat or the Q&A, or raise your hand, or just opening it up for questions. Anybody got anything that they're interested in asking about based on what we just covered? Like I said, this was going to be one of the shorter academy sessions, so. All right. There's no questions coming in. What I'll just transition to real quick is, hey, knowledge is coming up. And there's going to be no shortage of opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about process optimization. Like I said, what do we got here? There's 6 different sessions. Some of them are run more than once, and these are just the ones that I'm aware of that include process optimization. A couple of different hands-on labs that are going to be including process optimization, an overview type session with myself and my counterpart, Jeroen van Gossel, on Tuesday, May 16th. And then in addition to the sessions, obviously there'll be a demo pod or a booth, I don't know what we're calling them these days at Knowledge, where you can stop by if you're attending. I would love for you to stop by and say hi. Anytime that I'm not speaking at one of these sessions or meeting directly one-on-one with the customer in another meeting, I'm going to be at that booth, and I look forward to meeting so many of you that have been attending these sessions or watching the recordings in person for the first time. It's something I'm super excited about. And then the other thing to know is if you want to get hands-on with process optimization, our Now on Now team is going to have, I think, 3 to 5 different stations set up where you can get hands-on and go through a hands-on lab in more of an ad hoc fashion. Rather than going to a full-time lab, and they'll have it set up with a lab for process optimization across a couple of different workflows. So it's another opportunity to get hands-on with process optimization if you haven't already started playing with it. All right, some additional resources that are out there. On-demand training. There's a Now Learning course for process optimization called Process Optimization Essentials. 90 minutes self-paced, but you can do it in 45 if you double time it. Great Now on Now white paper about, we've applied process optimization to about 40 processes here at ServiceNow. have some great findings and results. Some of those are documented in this white paper. Good Forbes article out there written by our SVP of Analytics, Vijay Kotu, who is one of the biggest process mining fans I've ever met in my life. I didn't know anybody could care about process mining that much, but he does. Really good article. Community forum, that's probably how you found this, but that's a great place for you to post questions. If you didn't want to ask questions today, please post the questions that you have there. If it's specific to this topic, maybe post it on the recording, which will be up there in a couple of hours, most likely. I mentioned that use case series. So we've now got 4 different use cases recorded, short little 5-minute videos on different techniques that you can use while looking to answer specific questions with process optimization. And then this live on now session called Getting Started with ServiceNow's in-platform process mining walks through the plugins that you need to set up, walks through creating your first project, walks through some different types of building blocks that you need to know about if you're going down the process optimization journey or starting your process optimization journey. Last chance for questions. I see one's come in. Great. So question is kind of, hey, are there any better together stories between process optimization, workforce optimization, and the analytics for HR and how they can all be used together? Great question. And yes, there's lots, I don't want to say lots, but there's definitely material and resources out there to help you answer some of those questions. First one is there's a specific process optimization academy session where I partnered with our product manager for workforce optimization. So it's actually called Better Together, Process Optimization and Workforce Optimization. So there's another academy session out there. I think it might be the 6th one that we did or 7th one, but certainly there's a whole hour on the connection between workforce and process optimization that you can go and check out. It's actually baked right into the solution. So as somebody who's using the workforce optimization workspace, they start navigating down and they see the performance of a certain group or a certain team member. They can click on a button and it will run process mining for just that subset of tickets to show where some of the inefficiencies are. So really tightly integrated those 2 solutions there. From an HR perspective, there's a whole process optimization academy session focused on process optimization for HR service delivery. It covers everything from demos and specific use cases, like 5 or 6 specific use cases called out in that session for HRSD that a number of customers have already started exploring and finding. I think from an HRSD perspective, one of the more common use cases or examples that we see people digging into with process optimization is things that are going into the general inquiry bucket, or that's where they start. I mean, I'm guilty of this myself. I'm a pretty lazy employee. Whenever I have a question, what I do is I go and I just say, I'm not going to find the right thing. I'm just going to put it in general inquiry, and then it has to be reassigned. In fact, at ServiceNow, we found that over 60% of it was 74% of our HR cases had to be reassigned because they were coming in via that general inquiry bucket. And we've since now adjusted and we use predictive intelligence to get things to the right place more quickly, and saw a significant improvement. But we use process optimization initially to get a better understanding of where to focus those efforts. And it's something I've seen now other customers focus in on, is things that start out in general inquiry and watch where they go with process optimization, and then make the adjustments to reduce those things. The times that happens, it makes us a much more efficient organization if we can skip that first reassignment every time. So I hope that helped. That process optimization academy session for HR, just so you know, the recording, that is by far the most viewed process optimization academy session recording that we have out there. It's almost 3 times. It's got 3 times more views than any of the other academy sessions. So it's a really good one for you to check out. Any other questions, comments, things you want to talk about? Good. All right. Just in terms of upcoming plans for academy sessions, I will say these are always subject to change. But the next session that we have on the calendar is actually during Knowledge. So we're probably going to skip May and then come back a week or 2 after Knowledge. And I'm anticipating based on the meetings that I'm already being scheduled for, the number of sessions that we're having, there's going to be lots of interesting conversations and use case discussions. So my goal would be for the next session is to, I know not everyone can make it to Knowledge, is to take some of the more interesting conversations that we have and package them up into a session and maybe with some how-tos based on those conversations. That's the initial plan right now. We'll see how it turns out. And then one of the things that we've seen a lot of interest in that I've been trying to work into the schedule is the integration or connection. I hate saying integration. I shouldn't have said that. The connection with performance analytics. We're all on the same, all these things are on the same platform. They're not integrated. They're just connected when they're on the same platform. But the ability to set up a template for performance analytics so when you go to performance analytics and you see something in the KPI, you drill on that and then immediately mines the data behind that KPI. We provided, again, some of those templates out of the box with the content packs, but I want to dig into that, what those templates are, so you can start creating some of your own for some of the KPIs you may have created custom with performance analytics. All right. This is the Process Optimization Academy, but there's other great academies out there that you probably are familiar with. But if not, just so you know, there's a Platform Academy, there's a Virtual Agent, there's a Platform Analytics Academy, and a Mobile Academy. All great content there. So sessions just like this one with probably some better speakers and presenters than myself, but they're fantastic Academy sessions. With that, last chance for romance. Anybody got any last minute questions before we wrap up for the day? If not, I appreciate you all taking the time, and I look forward to either connecting with you at Knowledge. And like I said, please stop by the booth if you're going to be there. And if you're not at Knowledge, I look forward to chatting with you on the next Academy session. Thanks, everyone.